Hello, and welcome back to Trailblazer MTG. My name is Paul, or Prop, and in this video we'll be covering the Round 3 match of the July Asynchronous Trailblazer League. My opponent for this week is Bella the Cat on a Mono White Tokens list. Just to quickly recap, we are 1-1. I decided not to make any changes this week going into this match after last week. I think the changes I made after week 1 were perfectly fine, and for better or worse, I don't think the deck performed particularly as well as it could, and so I don't want to make knee-jerk changes based on what I consider kind of an outlier performance in last week's match. So going into this week, as I mentioned, opponent is on mono white tokens. So our deck is a mid-range deck with a token sub-theme. This is much more of an all-in tokens plan, and obviously is mono white. So you're going to see some similarities between this deck and our deck in terms of some of the white creatures, but obviously quite a lot of differences. So let's quickly look through what opponent is playing. So they have a fairly wide array of planeswalkers, relatively compared to a lot of decks in the format. Basically, all of these planeswalkers generate tokens, apart from Ugin. Ugin is a 7-mana planeswalker that wins the game on its own. So if Bella if our opponent gets to 7 mana and has Ugin, then we're probably in a rough spot, because, being able to generate 3 colorless mana or gaining life and drawing cards every turn with a plus ability, really powerful. And when we get to artifacts, we'll see that they do have colorless spells in order to take advantage of the static ability of Ugin. Moving on to the creatures. Not a huge volume of creatures, but obviously fairly impactful creatures. We have for the overlap with our deck, we have Voice of Victory, Adeline, Sanguine Evangelist, Skyclave Apparition. The ones that are different, we have the dual-faced Skyclave Cleric, Spirited Companion, which draws a card on ETB, Thalia, which is a kind of a hate-bearsy card similar to Archon of Emeria. We have Enduring Innocence, which, because of the small tokens that are coming in, will guarantee some card draw and keeping the velocity up. Toby, again, creature that cares about tokens, creates tokens, and if you are going wide with tokens, is going to give them flying, so you're going to get evasion. We also have Beza. Not the best when you're ahead. It's a 4/5 for 4 when you're ahead in general, so not the most impactful creature, but when you're behind, it has plenty of ways to sort of stabilize and get you back into the game. Elish Norton, or Panar Momicon, doubles ETB triggers and prevents opponents' ETB triggers, so useful. Another hate-bearsy kind of piece that can also double a lot of these triggers that a lot of these cards in the deck have. We also have Yorion. It's a way to blink the end of when casting it, you can blink a lot of these permanents that have ETB effects and retrigger them at the end of turn. And then Overlord of the Mistwars, 4 mana and gets you 2/2/1s, and then it comes through 4 turns later as a 6/6, or you can just cast it as a 6/6 for 7 mana with 4 additional flying power alongside it. So a little more expensive. Obviously, a lot of this deck so far is starting at 2 mana and above. The number of white pips not really as relevant because it being a mono white deck. And so, yeah, we're interested to see how it performs. Moving on to the sorceries, we have Lay Down Arms, obviously a really strong exile in a mono white deck. because of the number of planes. It can essentially be a Swords to Plowshares that gains probably most of the time your opponent less life than a Swords to Plowshares would, but has obviously a higher level of conditions and is a sorcery speed. We have token generators, tutors to find enchantments or sagas, a couple of wraths, including one that creates a token, and another modal jewel face card that, if the game goes late enough, can just create 8 power, which can close games out. Looking at the instance, we have again some of the more efficient removal. March of the Worldly Light, very good in a white based or white heavy deck. Soul Partition is an interesting one. It's kind of an O-ring, but also kind of an airbend instant. Kind of an interesting interesting card option. And Settle the Wreckage, yet again another way to stabilize. If their opponent goes a little too wide and gets a little too aggressive, they can punish with the Settle. Now moving on to artifacts. Again, we see, like I mentioned with the Ugin, there's a number of artifacts. Not a huge density, but a significant enough density that after casting Ugin, there is a chance that you have the ability to cast one or more of these on subsequent turns. These are mostly life gain options, graveyard hate, but and some card selection. And the Mind Stone, which is a new Marvel card, which once harnessed, which for 6 mana to harness is not the craziest mana investment, will be able to blink their permanents to get, again, re-trigger those ETB effects. Moving on to enchantments, we have some of the lower to the ground, more efficient removal and O-ring effects, like Ossification, Circle of Confinement. We also have Rest in Peace, which is the most efficient graveyard hate piece available, but it is symmetrical. Skrul's Hive, the kind of white Bitter Blossom, some other token generating or token matters cards like Caretaker's Talent, Takassia's Welcome, Virtue of Loyalty for an early 2 mana 2/2 White Knight at instant speed, so flash blocker, very useful. And so so that's the enchantments. A little bit of removal, a little bit of synergy, and some good tech pieces. Moving on to the lands, probably more utility lands here than you might expect. We have the Nykthos in a single color deck. This can often be providing multiple some acceleration, and if you tap 3 mana, this plus 2 others, and you end up with net positive on that, which is always powerful. Casanal Veil is a token generator. We have the Abandoned Air Temple for buffing when you go wide. And Ganjo, again, the Neon Dynasty utility lands. We also have a couple of creature lands. We have Cave of the Frost Dragon. We have Mirrex, which generates tokens. Phantom Pool, which generates tokens. Mutavault, which is a creature land. Soulstone Sanctuary, another creature land. And we have Field of Ruin, Demolition Field, and Volatile Fault as a land destruction. We also have Westvale Abbey. Westvale Abbey is a little slow. I don't know if it I don't know how often this is going to be a relevant piece in the game. However, in a single color deck that is not as pip dense as you might expect, an extra colorless land is probably not hurting the tempo, and it is able to go. The benefit, if you already have 5 creatures in play when you play this, play it, tap 5 mana, you get a Flying Lifelink, Indestructible Haste, 9/7. The upside is huge. It's just, I think, fairly tough to get to. But again, the cost of inclusion in a deck like this very low, very worth including. The other thing you may notice here is a bit of a desert sub-theme. So looking through, we have Arid Archway, we have Conduit Pylons, Desert of the True, Shefet Dunes, and Scavenger Grounds, which are all deserts. Scavenger Grounds, Arid Archway, Shefet Dunes also all care about deserts that aren't necessarily themselves, so they can sacrifice each other in order to get the benefits that the lands provide. The exile all cards from all graveyards, the bounce of the Arid Archway, being able to bounce a desert to your hand to get the Surveil, Conduit Pylons, which in itself surveils when it comes in, but doesn't synergize with other deserts. We have a desert, which is also just 2 mana draw a card if you don't need the extra lands, and Shefet Dunes, which is a 1/1, pump the team for 1, which, for an Alpha Strike towards the end of the game can be very powerful. And they're noticing quite a lot of these activated abilities on lands. They have Sunken Citadel as a way to sort of turbocharge some of these land abilities in the deck. Opponents also on 43 lands. Obviously the 40 base lands plus the 3 modal dual faced, which is fairly high, but then if looking at the deck, they are fairly mana intense, right? There is not a lot of 1-drops in this deck. They have plenty of cards that are at 4 and 5 mana, even 7 mana. And so they are definitely looking to accelerate and have a lot of mana to put into these haymakery options. So what does that leave us with? We will need to... I think hand attack is probably one of the most powerful things that we will be able to do. Try and remove some of their early interaction. They may keep a hand that is mana and early interaction, mana heavy with a big spell and some 1 early interaction spell. If we're able to hand attack that, get it out of the way, we can probably buy ourselves a few turns to set up, and finding biggest, most, I think we need to look to put pressure on. Obviously, something like a Villainous Wrath or our own Settle the Wreckage could be really useful to find, especially if they're able to have an explosive, they get some acceleration and they're able to get a lot of tokens out early in the game. Being able to sort of punish them for that in some way could be very useful. Settle the Wreckage against a monocolor deck, not maybe the best option, because they have, if they're attacking with 12 to 15 creatures and we settle, that just ramps them. Yes, obviously the investment in those creatures is probably fairly high, but then their tokens, removing a ton of tokens for the sake of surviving just to ramp them into more options could leave us in a rough position. I think premium removal, anything that can hit a Planeswalker, should possibly be safe for a Planeswalker unless absolutely necessary. We have a lot of removal in our deck. If it can hit a Planeswalker, we should maybe save it for a Planeswalker and try and deal with the tokens and the limited number of creatures they have with the non-Planeswalker hitting removal. But yeah, I think this should be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, and I will be right back with the start of the game. Okay, and we're back and about to get into the match. we lost the initial die roll. That's okay. Okay, so we have a board wipe, which I know is useful for potentially handling some early aggression. We have a Skyclave, which is a good removal spell. We have Suki. We have access to 3 white. The only thing is we don't have any cheap interaction. Opponent's deck is a little slower, so I think I'm going to keep this. Depending on what we draw, will depend on what land we play. Okay, we have a strategic portrayal, which is actually a pretty good. Although they have as much graveyard hate, or that's symmetrical. We do want to hit double white, but we also want to hit red. So I'm going to use this and hit red-white, the Elegant Parlor. I'm going to keep the Emeritus Call. I don't think I'm going to. It's not likely I'm going to be able to cast it, but I will hold it because we have reasonable amount of other lands. So we're going to lead with the Elegant Parlor. Yeah, I think Gix and Suki are both very powerful creatures to just have out, so I think I'm going to keep hold of those, and I'm going to use this to get the Shadowy Backstreet. Which gives us a second Surveil. Also pretty good against a token strategy. So I think I'm also going to leave this on top. I think of the 2 creatures we have, I think I'm going to lead on Suki. I mean, we have 3 3-drop creatures, but Skyclave being a removal spell, we're going to hold that. Okay. Figured with them not playing anything, they were going to have a removal spell, but I was fine with that. Okay, Maze Mind Tome. So now we have an interesting decision to make. I think... Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Tersa. And I'm going to discard these 2. Okay, we hit an Urborg, so I'm going to use that to actually map onto Tersa. I don't think we want the Cosmic Grand here. Yeah, I'm going to bin it because also Tersa, once Tersa hits 7, we're able to potentially get it back from the graveyard to cast. Okay, so that is a 5 mana. So what I'm going to do is interesting. I'm going to bin that. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to play a Ganjo, and I'm going to attack. Because if I... Okay, I am going to... Yep, they block. That's perfectly fine. And I'm willing to lose the Zenith to destroy all untapped creatures. Okay. There is a chance that in hand they have Settle, but Settle is honestly fine. The question is, do we want to Gix to potentially... This is interesting. If we attack with Tersa, we're going to exile something from our graveyard. It could be a land. I think Gix is potentially our strongest option because of the draw. Okay. Yeah, we'll go get a... we have access to 3 white, but only 1 red. We don't have a ton of red, but we do have some double red in the deck, so I think I'll take the extra red black land, and we'll end the turn there. Okay. It's interesting, because that resets the Maze Mind Tome. It allows them to get more card selection, but... Okay. So, I'm going to play the Dragon Skull Summit. I am going to play this Skyclave Apparition to get my Gix back. And then I'm going to pass. Unfortunately, getting the mountain hurt me there because now I do not have Settle mana. But I think that's okay. Okay. Oh, well, that is a very good card to draw. I think... So the question is, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can add a line and attack. If they boot up the Mutavault, they... 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this takes a mana to activate. They can use this. So 1, 2, 3. They can use the Abandoned Air Temple or the Shefet Dunes. Well, not the Shefet Dunes because that's a sorcery only. But they can put up the Mutavault and put a counter on it. So I'm just going to be attacking with Gix here. I don't want to give them a 2-2. I think that's okay. If they decide that they want to... Yep. Block the 1-drop. Okay, and they have a removal for Gix. I think that's okay, and now I'm going to get rid of the Yorion. Okay. Well, they've tapped the Mutavault, so I think I'm going to hold on the Meat Hook Massacre. Everything's going to be more expensive. And the only creature they have is Elish Norn. So, for the third phase of the third chapter of Elspeth Conquers Death, which we can settle if we need to. I'm just going to continue to attack in here. I'm going to just get rid of the Mutavault. I'll be interested to see what they're going to tutor for here. Okay, the Overlord of the Mistmores. I don't think they have the mana to... Okay, they're playing it for its impending. Oh yeah, Elish Norn doubling. That's okay. I'm going to just do X equals 1. Elish Norn. I thought this was just creatures, but it's permanents. That's an oops. I don't think we need this play as my Virgin play. If they Alpha Strike here, though, we do get to settle the wreckage, which is nice. And they get to exile both the Meat Hook Massacre and my Skyclave. Yeah. Okay, I think playing the Meat Hook didn't lose us the game, but it's certainly... we're certainly on the back foot here now. Especially if they're potentially going to be casting an Ugin here. They just use it to boot up the Abandoned Air Temple or the Shefet Dunes. I think that's okay. Okay. That is someone who's afraid of Settle the Wreckage, but unfortunately, I kind of have to. I'm going to ramp them to the moon here. But there is not much I can do. Yep, we lose. So obviously they hit all the removal they needed when they needed it. We ran out of our removal, and to a certain extent, our removal is designed for more low to the ground early game threats, and the long goodbye, the Skyclave apparition. It doesn't hit 4 and 5 drops, or it doesn't. The Skyclave hits 4 drops, but not 5 drops. Ooh, this is unfortunate because we do not have any black mana for the Overlord. We do have the Parlor Surveil, but I think that is probably a trap. I think I'm going to have to mulligan this. This is much more of a keep. The question is, what am I putting back? I think, unfortunately, it is the inevitable defeat at this stage. I am going to open with... I'm going to shock in the Godless Shrine and play this Usher of the Fallen. I don't have anything to do with the and so let me so I want to be able to activate this boast ability. I think going wide early and putting pressure on is useful, and it allows us to Fanatical Offering the token on a future turn. So let's see what we get off the Surveil trigger. We do need red. I'm going to get the Elegant Parlor here, and we'll play this for its... I don't think I need the extra land right now. So... interesting. I'm going to play this. Attack with everything. Yup. Activate this. And these are all instants and these are sacrifice, so I'm gonna hold. Maybe I should have cast the spell for the to prevent the gain life, draw a card, but I think we're in a reasonable position here with the board going a little wider. I'm going to Fanatical Offering, sacrificing this. Gives me 2 cards, gives me a map token. Okay, I just had a bit of a PC crash, but I'm going to be actually thinking, let's think about this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mana available. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so. I'm going to attack in. Yep. Let's play the Minister. And I think I'm going to hold. We have the Visions of Love if we need to, and we have the Get Lost. Is there anything we can do about that? I don't think so. We don't have any we don't have ways to make indestructible. So yeah, we'll just have to accept that. Ghost Vacuum. Okay. That's going to start hoovering up our graveyard. I'm going to discard. I'm going to discard this Demolition Field. Okay. By this Moon Shadow. Also going to play this Adeline. It's going to mean that they gain another life from the Celestas, but I think that's okay. We have Get Lost and we have Requiting Hex. Okay, so they're going to I think that's okay. Let's see whether they remove the Moon Shadow as well. That's interesting. Oh, I probably should have fetched in response. I'm probably just going to get a I'm just going to go get a Plains anyway. And then I'm actually going to get lost this Circle of Confinement to get my Adeline back. Comes back in tap, but then she's going to untap. So I do have Wandering Emperor, which can, if they block with Thalia, it can trade for the token, which is really nice. That's actually kind of even better, because we can kill the Reckoner Bankbuster. And then we can also flash in the Wandering Emperor and kill Thalia. Or I don't even have to flash it in. We can just cast it for in our main phase. That gets rid of their board. They have the ability to Ghost Vacuum this Rat King, but I don't think that's really scaring me right now. They also get Usher of the Fallen. Again, not the biggest threat, I don't think. Okay. I'm guessing they're going to get the Elspeth Conquers Death Saga, which is... They should have the mana to cast, and that would get rid of Adeline. Let's see. They're also going to gain 3 life off this. Okay, they have an Ugin. They have 12 life, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have the mana to cast it next turn. Well then. Can I kill them this turn? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be 7. But it would... Make the Moon Shadow bigger.
Remember your training.
So they're now at 8. I'm going to...
Pleasure doing business with you.
And I think probably safest. No, I'm just going to hold this. Because next turn they have the choice. They wouldn't be able to activate the Ghost Vacuum and cast Ugin because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana available. 7 leaves them 1, and then they add 3 more. That leaves them at 4.
possibility.
Yeah, I don't want to be able to ghost vacuum any more creatures up. That's totally fine.
May your blade strike true.
Your punishment is my entertainment. Pleasure doing. Focus, breathe, and learn.
Okay. First thing I'm going to do is try and rip their hand apart.
Defy me, and you'll lose everything. My coin or carnage. Tribute in code.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
I think my best hope is to keep them.
My starting is right, but I'm going to end it.
Yeah, I think my best hope is to try and keep them around 7 life so that the Obnixilis ultimate can kill them. My life total is not really a concern right now, obviously. The minus 11 does mean that they get to exile most of my board. Because they have, I believe they had 7.
Remember your training.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's not the Obnixilis that matters.
Destroy what I've built.
And I have Settle for... Okay, they get a planes. Are they going to... Okay, so they're at 11.
Is vital to success.
Okay, that's the...
I'll cut you down.
Alright, let's see what we get off the map tokens. From anywhere this turn. Zergo is not the answer right now. Sephiroth also doesn't really answer what we need. However, we can use... This is tough because obviously not having access to anything that removes planeswalkers right now is really going to put us in a hole. I think the best thing I can do is...
I have got new moves to teach you.
I think now that the question is, what do I get rid of? I think the Wandering Emperor.
Our swords will cross.
They're probably going to get the Ghost Vacuum, or maybe the Circle of Confinement. Oh, they're just getting a land back. Interesting. It's an interesting choice. Okay, now we lose. Because they're just going to exile our entire board. Yeah, I'm just going to scoop to this. I'm not going to be able to come back. Okay, that was some really interesting games, really fun games. I think possibly a couple of misplays, but I think opponent drew fairly well. Obviously, they have a lot of access to a lot of mana with their land count, and yeah, they were able to overrun us. And we unfortunately didn't quite get the removal that we needed when we needed it, and that happens. But all in all, that was a very fun game. I will be right back with a quick post-match breakdown. Okay, and here we are back at the deck screen. So, what to think about that match? I think the tokens side of my opponent's deck was not necessarily what showed up. Obviously they had tokens that they were attacking with, and that was a lot where a lot of their more efficient threats came from. But a lot of the deck is about board control, and they were able to control the board as well or better than my deck. In the games where we were both removing each other's creatures or trading or ending up in 1-for-1s and going like card for card, we just ran out of our gas a little faster than they did. They were able to draw into either ways to recur threats or more threats than we did. And especially in the second game, when we were able to kind of take control of the game to a certain extent and put pressure on and start to get to the point where we could start pushing for the win, they were able to, before we were able to put enough pressure on, find through the tutor and resolve their Ugin. And once the Ugin was on the board, we had the choice of trying to get the Ugin's loyalty down to prevent it from ultimating, or trying to kill them. The plus ability on Ugin gaining life means that if you're focusing down the Ugin, they are gaining probably more life than, and they're drawing cards, which means they get a chance to find answers. I think with the Obnixilis and in play and trying to push the damage, the best hope we had was push damage to face and hopefully draw a way to destroy Ugin before he ultimated. We didn't do that. Once the ultimate went off, we really had no way of winning the game. And so I think what I'm finding with this deck is we have a lot of spot removal and a lot of medium range threats, right? We have a lot of efficient creatures that can hit the board, and if they get to attack, we'll get to do something. However, we also run into a lot of situations where opponents also have a lot of removal, and I don't think in mid-range the creatures are powerful enough if you are going 1-for-1 creature for removal spell backwards and forwards. Like something like a Minster is really powerful if it can get online, but if it's the only card on the board, it's not scaring anyone. Moonshadow is another really powerful card, but we don't actually have. We aren't guaranteed ways to make it bigger. I think this deck might need a bit of a rethink. Maybe go a little more all in on the token side of things, and try to make sure that everything that we are doing is a little more focused. But I think that's a discussion, a thought to be had after the league. We'll see how next week's match goes, and we'll maybe revisit how we want this deck to function. There is also an argument that if you want a mid-range plan to work in this format, you need blue. You need blue for the card draw, for the cantrips, for the card selection. The red and black card draw and selection that is in this deck is not plentiful or efficient enough. I think that is definitely an argument that could be made, and I think that might be a unfortunate symptom of the fact that blue is just one of the most powerful colors in this format. I think there aren't many decks that are made worse by having blue in them. But that's a conversation for another day, for another video. If you enjoyed this match, if you enjoyed this video, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, please join the Discord and come play the format. Despite some of my frustrations with this league, it's still a very fun format to play, and I hope to see you over there looking for some games. But with that, I will see you next time, and have a wonderful day.